The State Peace and Development Council was the official name of the military regime of Burma, which seized power in 1988. On 30 March 2011, Senior General Than Shwe signed a decree that officially dissolved the council. From 1988 to 1997, the SPDC was known as State Law and Order Restoration Council, which had replaced the role of Burma Socialist Program Party. In 1997, SLORC was abolished and reconstituted as the State Peace and Development Council. The powerful regional military commanders, who were members of SLORC, were promoted to new positions and transferred to the capital of Rangoon. The new regional military commanders were not included in the membership of the SPDC. The SPDC consisted of 11 senior military officers. The members of the junta wielded a great deal more power than the cabinet ministers, who were more junior military officers, or civilians. The exception is the Defense Ministry portfolio, which was in the hands of junta leader Than Shwe himself. On 15 September 1993, it established the Union Solidarity and Development Association, which was replaced by Union Solidarity and Development Party in the 29th of March 2010 in time for the elections. Although the regime retreated from the totalitarian Burmese way to socialism of BSPP when it took power in 1988, the regime was widely accused of human rights abuses. It rejected the 1990 election results and kept Aung San Suu Kyi under house arrest until her release on 13 November 2010. The council was officially dissolved on 30 March 2011, with the inauguration of the newly elected government, led by its former member and Prime Minister, President Thein Sein. History. SLORC was formed when the Burmese Armed Forces, commanded by General Than, seized power on 18 September 1988, crushing the 4/8 uprising. On the day it seized power, SLORC issued Order No. 1988 stating that the armed forces had taken over power and denounced the formation of the SLORC. With Order No. 1988, the SLORC abolished all organs of state power that were formed under the 1974 Burmese Constitution. The Phaya Ulator, the Council of Ministers, the Council of People's Justices, the Council of People's Attorneys, the Council of People's Inspectors, as well as the state, region, township, ward, village people's councils were abolished. The SLORC also stated that the services of the deputy ministers in the previous Burma Socialist Program Party government, which it replaced, were also terminated. The orders that SLORC issued on the day of its takeover can be seen in the 19th of September 1988 issue of the Working People's Daily. The first chairman of SLORC was General Than, later Senior General, who was also the Prime Minister. He was removed as both chairman of SLORC and Prime Minister on 23 April 1992 when General Than Shwe, later Senior General, took over both posts from him. On 15 November 1997, SLORC was abolished and reconstituted as the State Peace and Development Council. Most but not all members of the abolished SLORC were in the SPDC military regime. Leadership. Chairman, Vice Chairman, former members. Ordered by Protocol. Senior General Than Shwe, Chairman of the SPDC, Commander-in-Chief of Defense Services. Vice Senior General Mongai, Deputy Chairman of the SPDC, Deputy Commander-in-Chief of Defense Services, Commander-in-Chief of the Army. Retired General Than Shwe Man, a former Joint Chief of Staff of the Army, Navy and Air Force. Retired General Thein Sein, Prime Minister and current President. Retired General Theratin Ong Mayin II, Secretary 1 of the SPDC, a former Quartermaster General and ex-Vice President. Major General Ohn Mayin, Chief of Bureau of Special Operation 1. Lieutenant General Mainong Hyang, Chief of Bureau of Special Operation 2. Lieutenant General Koko, Chief of Bureau of Special Operation 3. Lieutenant General Ta, Chief of Bureau of Special Operation 4. Lieutenant General Mayin SWE, Chief of Bureau of Special Operation 5. Lieutenant General Kanzor, Chief of Bureau of Special Operation -6, Major General HLAHTAY Win, Chief of Armed Forces Training, retired Lieutenant General Tin I, a former Chief of Military Ordnance, current Head of Election Council, Lieutenant General Thero Mayin Tong, Adjutant General. Human rights abuses. Western non-governmental organizations, such as the Burma Campaign UK, the US Campaign for Burma, Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch have made a variety of serious accusations against the SPDC. Reports by these organizations, as well as the United Nations and the Karen Human Rights Group, allege gross human rights abuses that took place in Burma under the regime, including murder and arbitrary executions, torture and rape, recruitment of child soldiers, forced relocations, forced labor, political imprisonment, murder. One of the worst atrocities in Burma took place during the uprising of August 1988, when millions of Burmese marched throughout the country calling for an end to military rule. Soldiers shot hundreds of protesters and killed an estimated 3,000 people in the following weeks. During the August and September demonstrations of 2007, at least 184 protesters were shot and killed and many were tortured. Under the SPDC, the Burmese army engaged in military offensives against ethnic minority populations, committing acts that violated international humanitarian law. Recruitment of child soldiers. It has been alleged that the SPDC forcibly recruited children, some as young as 10, to serve in its army, the Tatmadaw. It is difficult to estimate the number of child soldiers currently serving in the Burmese army, but there are thousands. According to Human Rights Watch, the Child Soldiers Global Report 2008, and Amnesty International, the UN Secretary-General named the SPDC in 4 consecutive reports for violating international standards prohibiting the recruitment and use of child soldiers, children and armed conflict. Report of the Secretary-General, the 26th of October 2006, UN Doc. A. 61 529 S 2006 826. Report of the Secretary-General on Children and Armed Conflict in Myanmar to the Security Council, the 16th of November 2007, UN Doc. S. 2007 666. Report of the Secretary-General on Children and Armed Conflict to the UN Security Council, the 21st of December 2007, UN Doc. A. 62 609 S. 2007 757. Report of the Secretary-General on Children and Armed Conflict in Myanmar, the 1st of June 2009, UN Doc. S. 2009 278. Forced relocations. Human Rights Watch reported that since Cyclone Nargis in May 2008, the Burmese authorities expelled hundreds, if not thousands, of displaced persons from schools, monasteries, and public buildings, and encouraged them to return to the destroyed villages in the Irrawaddy Delta. The authorities emptied some public buildings and schools to use as polling stations for the 24th of May referendum on a new constitution. Despite pleas from United Nations Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon to postpone the referendum and focus the resources on humanitarian relief, the SPDC was alleged to have evicted people from dozens of government-operated tented relief camps in the vicinity of the former capital Yangon, ordering the residents to return to their homes, regardless of the conditions they face. The forced evictions were part of government efforts to demonstrate that the emergency relief period was over and that the affected population were capable of rebuilding their lives without foreign aid. People who were forced from their homes by Cyclone Nargis are considered to be internally displaced persons under international law, under the UN Guiding Principles on Internal Displacement. The Burmese government was urged to ensure the right of internally displaced persons to return voluntarily, in safety and with dignity, to their homes or places of habitual residence, or to resettle voluntarily in another part of the country. Forced labor. According to the International Labour Organization, despite the new quasi-civilian government taking power in Burma, forced labor continues to be widespread in Burma. It is imposed mainly by the military for portering, road construction, camp construction and repair, and for a range of other tasks. In March 1997, the European Union withdrew Burma's trade privileges because of the prevalence of forced labor and other abuses. The same year, the ILO established a commission of inquiry to look into allegations of forced labor, coming up with a damning report the following year. In November 2006, the International Labour Organization announced it was to seek with the International Criminal Court to prosecute members of the ruling Myanmar junta for crimes against humanity over the allegations of forced labor of its citizens by the military. According to the ILO, an estimated 800,000 people are subject to forced labor in Burma. Political imprisonment. Even before the large-scale demonstrations began in August 2007, the authorities arrested many well-known opponents of the government on political grounds, several of whom had only been released from prison several months earlier. Before the 25 to 29 September crackdown, more arrests of members of the opposition party National League for Democracy took place, which critics say was a preemptive measure before the crackdown. Mass roundups occurred during the crackdown itself, and the authorities continued to arrest protesters and supporters throughout 2007. Between 3,000 and 4,000 political prisoners were detained, including children and pregnant women, 700 of whom were believed still in detention at year's end. At least 20 were charged and sentenced under anti-terrorism legislation in proceedings which did not meet international fair trial standards. Detainees and defendants were denied the right to legal counsel.